Hey, is anybody there? If you could hear me, type back in the chat. This is my first time going live, so I'm trying to test everything out. I see thanks, brother. Handy boy. Hello, anybody else there? It says I have 5 live viewers, but I'm not 100%. So if you're in the chat, just type back. Other than that, pretty much what this live stream here is, I'm just going to... Oh, you hear me? Nice. Awesome. So if anybody has any questions, I'll answer those to start. But other than that, we're going to create an AI SaaS chatbot. So it's going to be a widget that is on people's websites. All they're going to do is if you own a business or you have a website, you're going to be able to pretty much sign up for our SaaS. You could create a SaaS chatbot pretty much for your website simply by just filling out a few things like what forms you want the chatbot to be trained on, what you want the chatbot name to be, your icon that you want the chatbot to see, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of companies that do this already, but I kind of want to show you guys an example of what I have. So this is my website. Let me move my screen real quick. If you can see right there at the bottom right is a widget. So this is what we're going to create for other people's sites. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to actually create a script tag so that people can put inside of their code. So a lot of people are going to be using WordPress, Wix, just the basic website builders. So we need to make sure we apply to all the audience. So we definitely need to just give them a script tag, very simple to use. They could click, and then this will be AI chatbot for the website. Before we start going and creating it, I do want to go on, I guess, quote unquote, like some competitors' websites. So to do that, I think one of the sites is called, it's not Webflow. Man, what is one of the sites? If you guys know any of these sites in the chat that I'm talking about, just list them and we could go to them real quick, just so we can see an example of pricing, other features they have, so we could write an outline. Oh, I'm getting these. Somebody said we hear you. I'm getting them really late because I asked that question probably 5 minutes ago. So I'm assuming you answered that about 5 minutes ago. One sec. I think my chat is running a little behind. Let me see. Maybe not. Okay. Let me go get one of those sites real quick so we can see an example of what we're going to create. And this is day one. So for day one, mainly what we're going to do is we are going to work on the authentication. We're going to use Auth.js version 5. That's in beta. But honestly, I don't care. We're still going to do the beta one. I think that's the way they're going. So we might as well learn that syntax. We're also going to hook up a database. And we're going to use Prism. I know a lot of you guys make fun of me for mispronouncing the word Prism. But this is one of those sites. If you could link one of those sites, that'd be good for the live chat. But we're going to be using MongoDB and Prism. And let me see. I know I have... It was called... Oh, VoiceFlow. Duh. So VoiceFlow is a very, very popular site that a lot of people use. It's an AI chatbot platform that meets your ambition. I already have an account, so all it does is pretty much gives you a widget like this at the bottom right. So right here, like I did on my site, and it allows you to very easily customize a chatbot inside of their software. So we're going to create something similar to this, and obviously it's going to take us days to make, but that's fine. We're going to pace ourselves, and when we actually code, I actually like learning and actually knowing fully in depth what I'm doing. So we're going to do that as well. So we're not just going to code stuff and not know what's going on. Okay. So yeah, just this is their site. This is how it looks. This is obviously the dashboard with the sidebar. You got some other stuff here. You could easily create a AI assistant. I mean, there's a lot that goes to this. And this is it is a multi-million-dollar company. And it'd be nice, obviously, if we get a cut of the pie, if you do create a SaaS like this. But I'm just going to exit out this and let's actually start coding. Sir, please create one video for the MERN stack, Google authentication, and save Google authentication data in MongoDB. Henny boy, I could do that. Let me write that down in my notes real quick, because I do keep a list of different video ideas that we could do. I use Notion. I don't know does anybody else use Notion in the chat? If you don't use Notion, I highly, highly recommend using Notion. Notion is amazing. It's very easy to like keep track of everything. And you actually download a lot of templates. So what I'm going to do here is for ideas or YouTube video projects, I have a bunch of lists here. And what I could do is I could just add yours to the ideas list right now. And then obviously I'll move it to the YouTube video projects. But you said you want to do MERN Google authentication. Okay. So MERN Google authentication. And while I'm doing this, does anybody else have a recommendation for a video that you guys want to see in the future? Notion is easy to use. I like it. ClickUp is also cool. I've never actually heard of ClickUp. Let me look that up. Is it the same thing? ClickUp? Like same kind of thing as Notion? Why not have to replace them all? Get everybody. I'm just going to see how the interface looks. And then obviously we'll move on to actually code some stuff. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer Notion or ClickUp? Okay. That's the first time I've heard of that. Might have to change all my passwords. 2024 coding roadmap, maybe? Yeah? Do you mean like to get a job, 2024 coding roadmap? Or just like I'm assuming that's what you mean. That is a very popular video though with other YouTubers. 2024 coding roadmap. Let me just verify this ClickUp account and then I'll play around with it later off stream. Oh, just got another message. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Do I have to answer these now? Personal, just me. If I could give you a little code, who is it? Is it KTAD? KTAD, that's how you say it, I'm assuming. Get a little, percentage off. That'd be pretty cool if you could send me the link to sign up if it was a premium plan. I'm done. Finish. Okay. Okay, so let's actually get started with the code. I'm just going to exit out of this. And is there a way to see how many people are in my chat right now? Give me 1 second and then we'll start with the code. So let me exit. Move all of these up. And let me see if I can see how many people are actually in here. Oh, you used the free version? I'm assuming they have a pro version. I haven't even looked. Okay. All right, so let me start actually coding what we're going to do. And feel free to always ask questions in the chat. I have it up here on my other screen. I do have multiple screens, so I can see it right when you guys do actually type it. So what I do is I usually just open up my terminal. And by the way, I am self-taught. I have a degree in finance, but I actually don't have a degree in computer science. I'm self-taught through YouTube videos, just trial and error, coding, stuff like that. We'll use Turbo Repo. Turbo Repo. I don't know what that is, so no. I'm not going to use Turbo Repo. And what's your computer specs? I don't know, but let me check, and I could show it on screen. Let me pull it up just in case. And by the way, where are you guys from? Just curious. If you name, I'm assuming it's worldwide because I am live at 12:30 a.m. I'm in Tampa, Florida. So just drop your country wherever you're from. It's kind of cool seeing where people are from. How long have you been coding? On and off for about a year and a half now. Like I said, I was doing just finance stuff, helping my brother with like a junk removal company. I'm also the self-taught route. I feel like most people in here are probably self-taught. I could be wrong, but Texas for me, nice. Yeah, Texas and Florida are probably, I feel like, definitely by far the best states out there. At least top 5 for sure. It's 1:41 here in South America. Nice. 1:41 a.m. Oh yeah, you're not that far off from my time. That's cool though, South America. Let me see. One sec, guys. I'm just trying to get the computer specs here. And I'm trying to move a bunch of stuff on my screen. I have so many tabs open right now. Anybody else in the chat? Where are you from? So we got South America, Texas, Florida. Okay, I don't want to keep wasting time. Let me just move this over and let's actually start to get to the code because I don't want to just delay this process. So what I do is I just open up the terminal real quick and we're going to create this using Next.js. I think Next is obviously right now one of the better ways to go. I was doing the MERN stack, but I kind of strayed away from it lately and just been using Next. India? Nice. Yeah, I feel like a lot of my people are definitely Indians from India that are my viewers as well. So obviously the first step you do is if you're following along, just kind of do what I do. And if not, you can just watch, ask questions. So we're going to cd into whatever folder you want. You got to spell it right. And then what we're just going to do is we're going to run npx create -next -app and then @latest. This is just going to pretty much create a boilerplate Next.js code for the latest version of Next. So what is your project name? We can name this right now for AI SaaS chatbot. We're going to use TypeScript, yes. ESLint, yes. Tailwind CSS, yes. The source directory, no. The app router, yes. The import alias, no. And then it'll install all the dependencies. And then do you guys have an opinion on Next? Do you guys like it, hate it? Don't care? Okay, just give this a little more, about 15 more seconds. And the first thing I kind of want to do with the project is I want to set up the authentication. Haven't tried it? If you haven't tried it, what do you use then? Mern? You mostly use React with V. Yeah, V's good. I'm pretty sure I'm saying right. V. I've used it a few times. Pretty much the same thing, honestly. Not much difference. I mean, this is a full stack framework. But other than that, we're going to code CD into the project name. And then just do code dot, and then obviously it would open up your VS Code. We could close the terminal. I'm going to move over the VS Code. And then I'm going to make sure you guys could actually see the code. So I'm just going to zoom in real quick. And I'm going to open up the code. And before I continue, guys, just comment. You pretty much, Mern. Comment if you guys could see the code clearly. So if you can see it clearly, tell me. If you can't, let me know before I actually continue going on. Okay, I'm assuming you guys could kind of see. I don't want to keep waiting, but so what we have, I started learning it when the app router was introduced. I never touched pages router, so it's been easy for me. Yeah, it clears for me. Awesome. Okay, so we have app directory. Just quick overview. App directory, we had the page.tsx. This is your home page. It does say a home function. It doesn't have to be named home, but it is your home page. We have the root layout, which is whatever you put in here, it's going to affect all your code. Essentially, that's what it does. And you can store your metadata as well. We have a global CSS file, which we can remove lines 5 through 33 for now. Keep the Tailwind because we're going to use Tailwind. Tailwind's easy to use. We have a favicon. This is just for your website browser tabs. We'll change this later. It's not a big deal. It's just for metadata. We have a public folder to keep all of our images. Node modules, obviously. Package.json. Tailwind config file. TS config file. All that good stuff. But the first thing I want to do is, like I said, I want to be able to set up the authentication. So we're going to have this on one side, and we will have the next auth docs on this side. Okay. So like I said, we're going to use version 5. And what we're going to do is the first thing you should do is just go to this link right here. I'll put it in the chat. That's the page I'm on right now. It's upgraded version 5. Let's install the package. That's the first thing you should do. Open up the terminal, copy and paste it, install the package. And now we could use all of the features we need in order to use the version 5 of NextAuth. Have I ever used Clerk? Yes, I've used Clerk. Clerk seems easier to set up, but I feel like Auth.js gives you more customization, like very, very free customization, and I've just been using it more, so I feel more comfortable with it. But Clerk's a very good option, and it's probably more popular than Auth.js now. But I feel like Auth.js, you could do a lot of stuff with it. Like we could send a verification email. We could do a bunch of stuff with this. So we're just going to stick with this. But Clerk, if you want to use that, you could use that as well. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is I want to scroll down here, and we're going to set up the configuration of Auth.js. The first thing we are going to do is create 2 separate files. And the reason why is because we're using Prism, and Prism isn't Edge compatible. So if you actually read this paragraph here, the reason if it's not Edge compatible, if your ORM isn't Edge compatible, you have to set up 3 configuration files. And the first one we are going to set up is going to be the auth.config.ts file. And that is going to be in the root layer of our whole application. So we're going to click new file, auth.config.ts. And then inside of this file, we are going to pretty much all we're doing is we are going to define the providers that we're using for our application. And what we're going to use for providers is we're going to use the credentials provider, which is just a name, email, password, whatever you want to put. And we're also going to use the Google provider as well. So you could add a bunch of providers. You could go through their providers list right here, and you can see what they offer, but we're going to use those two. So the first thing we want to do is we want to import a few packages. So we have an import of next auth config from next-auth. Next package is the credentials provider. So we could just name it credentials. And this is from next auth providers /credentials. And if you guys are curious, my code is kind of like trying to autocomplete. That's GitHub Copilot. If you guys don't have it, I do recommend it. It is a premium monthly thing, but I think it's definitely worth it. Another import we're going to do is the Google provider. You can name these whatever you want. I'm just going to name this Google actually. And this is from next auth /providers /Google. And then other than that, I guess for now, we are good to go and we can set up stuff, what we need. So we're going to do an export default. And then this is going to be an object. And what we're going to do is it's going to have to satisfy the next auth config, just like this. And obviously we're getting an error because we have nothing in the object, but we're going to add that stuff now. What it accepts is the providers into an array like this. And then we just have to define what we're going to do. So first one we could do is Google. And what it accepts inside of it is a client ID. And usually you always keep this inside of an env file, .env file. These are going to be your keys. You don't want anybody to know what they are, so make sure you create a .env file. We will in a second. And you're going to keep all of these keys inside of that file. And I'll show you guys where to get the client ID and the client secret as well. And then we're also going to set up the credentials provider. And this credentials provider has an authorize function that accepts the credentials. And it's just an object just like that. And so we're actually going to write code inside of this function. And what this function does, it pretty much allows us to do checks when a user tries to log in. So for example, we could check to see if the passwords match. We can also make sure the fields are validated. Just a bunch of stuff like that. For now, I might have to actually just comment this out because we're going to have to come back to this later, which is fine. Because we actually don't have everything we can for this file. So we're going to keep this as an empty object for now. So that is the auth.config file. And as you can see, it's right here. You create an auth.config file with your config, and then you export it. So there's the code there. You could copy and paste it. And they're doing the GitHub provider. So next we want to create an auth.ts file, and we're going to add the adapter there together with the JWT session strategy. So let's open up. We're going to open up our side panel again, and on the root layer of our whole project, we are going to add a auth.ts file. And what we are going to do with this auth.ts file is you could either copy this, and then obviously we're going to change a few things. But for now, let's type what we can that we have. Because we don't have Prism set up, so we can't add Prism. And then we're also going to invoke Prism in its own file in a global state. Because if you keep doing this, every time somebody tries to log in, you're going to keep invoking Prism instead of caching it through a global state. So this way is good if you just want to run it quick, but since we're actually creating an actual application, the code's not going to look exactly like that. So next thing we want to do, we're going to import next auth from next auth. Now we're going to import the auth config, which is the file we just created. And that's going to come just from the path of authconfig.ts. So you can see we export it right here. Just like that. And we're importing it as authconfig. Next, we have to import the Prism adapter. We also have to import where our database is. And we don't have any of that as well. So we're going to skip that for now, but we're going to come to it real soon. And we're going to do an export const. This is going to be an object, and we have handlers. And the handlers is going to be we're going to do a get and post. And the reason why we're doing a get and post request is because that is technically the only HTTP request that we need with auth.js. So that's why it's only get and post. The other thing we're going to have is we're going to have an auth variable, and that is going to allow us to pretty much check the user that's logged in and use this variable instead of the use session hook. So you can start using the auth instead. We're going to have a sign in, a sign out. That's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to have an update function. And this is going to equal next auth. And then it's going to be an object. And what is going to be inside of this object is we're actually doing the spread syntax of everything in the auth config that we did import at the top. I spelled handlers wrong, so that's why it's giving me an error. And I'm going to remove update for now and then use it later. Another thing we have to define, please use ORM that we can run on the edge except Prism. Ooh. Do you guys know one that doesn't run on the edge or one that does run on the edge? If you do know an ORM that runs on the edge, let me know. Because if it does, then you don't have to do these separate files. You can actually do 2 files instead of 1, which is not a big deal. Like if it doesn't run on the edge, it doesn't. But I think Prism in the future is going to start running on the edge. I saw an article about it. But if you do, type it in the chat and I'll look, but I'm going to keep continuing the code. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to do session, and we have to define the session, and the strategy we're going to use is JWT, so JSON Web Token. And let me see what else we can do for now. Drizzle ORM, but never used it. I've used Drizzle one time when I was following a project, so I don't know if I'm going to use it in this project just because I'm not too familiar with it. But I guess if most of the chat wants to use it, we can look at it. So if you guys do want to use Drizzle, just put like me or I. And if you don't, then I'm just going to keep continuing. I honestly don't even know how many people are in here right now, so we'll see how many votes we get. We can use database strategy right with Prism. You can in version 4, but in version 5, if you are using this pretty much way of configuration that we're using right here, you can't use the database. You only can use the JWT session. But like I said, in version 4 and version 3, I think version 4 is the one that everybody's using right now, and that's the one I have a few tutorials on my channel with. You could use database if you want. And like I said, version 5 right now, this is in beta. So if you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it. And I do have a bunch of tutorials and videos on version 4. Okay, so the other thing we can do inside of the next auth is where we will be defining pretty much asynchronous callbacks. So these are very, very important. The asynchronous callbacks pretty much run functions based on when a certain action happens. So we could have the asynchronous JWT, an asynchronous session callback. We have an asynchronous sign-in callback. a link account callback. We could also define pages in here, so the sign-in page and error page, stuff like that. Well, since I already used Prism, I wouldn't mind seeing Drizzle. All right, so I'm assuming we got 2 votes for Drizzle. Anybody else? So we have 2 votes for Drizzle. If we get 1 more vote for Drizzle, I'll use Drizzle, because I think there's 4 of us in here. But if we do Drizzle, I'm gonna have to like learn with you guys. The other thing we have to install package-wise is this Prism adapter. I don't even know how to pull. Let me see. Let me do a poll real quick. I'm using OBS. Oh, that was bad. Let me see. Please use database strategy as well as many people use JWT. Want to see its database strategy? I can do that. Let me let me see how I'm gonna do that, because for this project that I'm working on, I do want to do JWT, but I'm gonna let me pull up my Notion again. For Alt.js. Okay. I added it to the a YouTube video topic I need to record. But I think overall, I think the better session strategy to do is the JWT. But I'll definitely record a video on that as a difference we could do. Okay, and then the last file that we need to do for the configuration. So we have an auth.ts, auth.config.ts. Next thing we need to do is we need to create an API folder inside of the app. So API. And inside of the API folder, we are going to have a auth folder. So this is version 4. So if you remember version 4, then we're going to have a catch-all route inside of that. And to do a catch-all route inside of Next.js, you use bracket notation, next auth, and then close the brackets and make sure you do the spread syntax. And then inside of this, we're going to have a route.ts. And I'll show you guys exactly why this path is like this, because you'll understand it when we actually get in the browser. But if we want to show the user signed in sessions, can we do that using JWT? What do you mean by that, the signed in sessions? Can we do... If we want to show the user signed in sessions, like how many times they signed in, is that what you mean? If you could clarify, I think I can answer. But if just be a little more clear with the question, I'll be able to answer it. Okay, so inside of this catch-all route, it is literally 1 line of code for version 5. So all we're doing is we're exporting the get and post HTTP request from not next auth, but from that folder @/auth. And that is from this auth.ts folder. Where the user logged in, like Windows, Mac, PC, etc. Huh. Like Gmail shows the user previously logged in sessions. I actually don't know how to do that in Alt.js. I never really found a need to do it, but I know what you're talking about, because I'm actually on some apps where it says, oh, you logged in from this Windows computer at this location. I would have to look that up too. Let me... The thing with coding is you're always constantly learning. Just creating videos is a good way to learn and teach people as well. Because if you could teach somebody a topic, that means you know the topic pretty good. And it helps you get better with speaking in front of people. But so where user okay. So I added that to the list. I don't actually know how to even do that with the database session. If I'm assuming it's possible because obviously other stuff does it, but for now we're going to leave that as it. But I just want to open up the development server real quick. And what I want to show you guys real quick is the route. So we created that API route. Clerk has the feature built into it. Oh yeah, they do actually. Clerk does have it. You're right. How useful do you guys think that feature is? Do you think it's like very, very useful? Or it's just like whatever? It's just like a nice add-on. Because I felt like I've never needed to do it, but if you both were recommending it, I haven't really pulled anybody on it. Localhost 3000. Okay, so that route that we created, which is the API auth and then the catch-all route. So if we do /API /auth / there's a sign-in route. Like that. You're going to get taken to their built-in sign-in page. That's how Auth.js works. The only reason why it's in this path is because of this path we created here. So as you can see, it does a GET request and it shows our two providers that we provided, which is the Google provider and the credentials provider. So obviously the sign-in failed, check the details that you provided. We aren't done with the code, so we're getting errors for that. And then we also haven't provided any keys for the Google provider, so we're going to get an error for that as well. But you can see too, the errors inside of your server console. Clerk has this feature built in. I think it gives the user a sense of security. It's useful as we can log out from another computer or log in or log out from another computer. Yeah, you guys are, I mean, I agree. There's got to be a way to do it. I wonder what it's called inside of the docs because they must have something for that. What would you guys search right here if you guys had to do a search inside of their documents? It's called, Next Auth is hard to set up. Yeah, overall, I think it is hard to set up. It's not, I think it's definitely harder than Clerk. Clerk is very easy to set up. Clerk is like super, 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 super easy to set up. I don't think Next Auth is hard to set up. I just think it's harder than Clerk. And it's just taking me longer because I have a mic right here, which is kind of weird to me when I'm coding. And then also I'm trying to, interact with you guys, explain stuff. But Next Auth isn't crazy hard. But if you guys do have a search term I can search here for what you guys are talking about, let me know and I'll search it. Okay. So let's finish a few of the things. Let's install Prism. And like I said, I'm going to use MongoDB. You could use whatever database you want, but I'm just so used to doing that. And obviously, I only can do what I know. So what we are going to do is let's just stop the server real quick. And we could do, let me make sure it's the right packages. So we're going to need the Prism package, and it's going to be a dev dependency. npm install Prism, and then it's a dev dependency. Do I have a Discord server? I do have a Discord server. Let me send you an invite. Nope. Where? Let me get the link from somewhere else. I have it in a different video. There's the Discord link. You should be able to join it. Okay, so we installed the Prism development server. Next thing we need to do is now we need to actually do an initialize Prism, npx prism init. So we install Prism as a dev dependency and then we initialize it. And when we initialize Prism, what it does is creates a Prism folder with a schema.prism and also creates a .env file. So with already a database URL string. So the schema.prism, what we could do here is I'm going to change my provider to MongoDB. And then obviously the database connection string is in the variable database underscore URL. Next thing I want to do is I want to create a database in MongoDB. Let's do that real quick. The good thing too with what I'm doing here is no matter what SaaS you want to create, you usually need authentication. It's a very important process, obviously securing people's information and being able to actually pretty much make them pay for your service. Because if you don't have an account, I don't know how you're going to charge them and keep track of like their API limits and stuff. Okay, so to create a database in MongoDB, if you never created one, very simple. You have a screen after you log in. It looks something like this. I'm going to scroll all the way down and I'm going to click create new project here at the top left. The project name we could create AI chatbot SaaS. Whatever you want to name it whatever you want. Click next. And then we could click create project. We don't need to add any members. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the deployment. Click create. We're going to use the free version for now. Provider AWS. The region North Virginia. So honestly, wherever you click this down arrow, whatever one that has a star, you should pick. Actually, they all have stars now. Let me take that back. Don't click the one that has a star. Click the one that's just closest to you. So obviously, we have one person from South America, so you probably want to click this one. We have another one from Texas, so I'm assuming probably click Virginia. And then other than that, you guys should click whatever you're closest to. For cluster, for the name, you could keep it as cluster 0. It's not a big deal. We're going to click create. And then this is the most important part. Let me do this off screen. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. I'll change it. So you're going to create a username and then use a password. I usually just use the password they give me, click copy, open up my notepad, paste it in my notepad, click create user. The reason why is because after you click create user, you can't edit your password. Your password is stuck to whatever it was on. So your password, you must save it or you must remember it. We're going to use the local environment and then also the IP address. You could add your own IP address and then you could just add my current IP address and then it'll do your current IP address. Go to overview. I'm not that heated on the internet, so if my IP address kind of gets leaked right now in the live, I'm not too worried. I'm in an apartment complex, so it's not crazy bad. But after you do that, you did create your database. And either it's going to be loading or it's going to create it like this. Next auth is easy, but clerk is easiest. Definitely. Clerk's easy. I feel like, honestly, too, with coding, when you code, you don't always want to do the easiest route. Especially because everybody's going to do the easiest route. So imagine like every app looks like the clerk authentication screen. I know you could customize it, but I don't know. I guess it's something in my head, maybe some OCD stuff, but sometimes you want to go down the harder path because I feel like the harder path could give you the most benefits and reward when it's all said and done. But yeah, Clerk's easy, man. Clerk's super easy. So now we're going to connect the database. You click the connect button there. We're going to do MongoDB for VS Code. We are going to copy the connection string right here. And then I'm just going to move this over a little bit. Go to our .env file. And we are going to paste the string into here. Doesn't have to have the string quotations. Just that. And then we have the username, which is here. Just joined. Have you implemented the auth already? I have created the configuration files. I've created the configuration files already. I could show you that real quick. Let me just finish this database. And all these lives are recorded, so if you guys ever do need to go back, you can always go back and see what I did. But hey, welcome Omar to the live. Why choose MongoDB than a relational database like Postgres? Honestly, I'm just so used to MongoDB. I always choose MongoDB, but overall pretty much everybody agrees that Postgres is better database wise. I just choose MongoDB because it's so easy to set up, and I don't have any big projects. I'm just very accustomed to MongoDB, and I've never had a problem with them, so I keep using them. So there's really not too much to that. So after you do the string, you have your username, and then you want to get that password, and then just copy. You're going to copy and paste it over here and replace the password like that. And then make sure you have whatever folder you want here at the bottom. You can put users if you have a bunch of users. We're going to have more than just user. We're going to put database just like that. So we have database at the end of the .NET. And then what we can do here is we could close the env file. We have the provider's MongoDB and the env as database underscore URL. So now our database is set up successfully. Next thing we need to do though with Prism is add one more package. And for that, it is going to be the Prism client package. Let me just get that code real quick. We are start from scratch, MongoDB. Let me move this on the screen. So Prism has pretty good docs as well. And I'm on the MongoDB one as well. And I've already done step 1, which is connect your database. We haven't created a Prism schema yet, but we do have the Prism schema file. And we'll create our own. I'm going to copy and paste a bunch of it over, and you guys can see what it is. And then now we have to install the Prism client. And so this install command invokes the Prism generate for you, which reads your Prism schema and generates a version of the Prism client that's tailored to your models. So we're going to copy that, go to our terminal, paste it, and now we're doing a Prism client package. And this is where I am talking about that we're going to create a separate file to invoke the Prism function. So for us, let me see what I did in my other project. So I'm actually I've been working on a project. I've never really shown it on YouTube. It is AI voice generation. So pretty much you could type whatever you want, and you could pick from a different voice, and it'll generate the voice. I'm actually using the 11 Labs API. So if you guys are interested, I could do a live stream on that and a video. I've actually been working on that one probably for months on and off. The thing I'm stuck on is creating a video editor, an in-browser video editor. So that's going to take a little bit of time, but the project came along pretty good. So if you're interested, I can link that as well. But we are going to create a lib folder. So we're going to create a new folder. It's going to be a lib. I'm creating this on the root layer of the whole project. So if we close it, it's right there. Inside of this, I'm going to create a new file called prismdb.ts. And I am just going to copy this code and paste it. You could actually get this code from ChatGPT if you wanted. And this is how you can actually invoke Prism on a global level. So you don't have to keep doing the const prism equals new Prism client like it shows in the examples in this auth documentation. So this is going to allow us to run Prism methods. So like Prism dot find more than one, whatever those Prism methods are, this is going to allow us to run those. And let me look at a few of those Prism methods. So the Prism methods could be .find many, .find unique, stuff like that. And it's going to be based on the schemas we create. Let me see something real quick. This live stuff is a little harder than I thought. I'm not gonna lie, guys. If bear with me, this is definitely my first live. It's not gonna be. I'm gonna do this every day live, on top of video. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it, learning some stuff. All the stuff you guys are asking, like I am writing them down Notion, so I'll definitely get back with you all and make sure to answer all those questions. But we are done with the MongoDB. We can just leave that open. Next, we want to install another package, and that is going to be this Prism adapter package right here. So I'm just going to copy this. Let me open this up a little more. We're going to do npm install, just paste that. And this allows us to add Prism and adapt it pretty much to the configuration of Auth.js. And the person who joined, Omar, let me just quickly go over what we did. We are using Prism, we are using MongoDB, and we're using TypeScript with Next.js. What we did was we created a auth.config.ts file. This is where you define your providers. What we did was we have a Google provider and we have a credentials provider. I haven't really done anything with the credentials provider because we haven't got to that step, but this is how the code looks. And this is an auth.config.ts file. Then we created a auth.ts file. Pretty much what this does is it spreads through all of the auth configs, which is our providers. We define our session strategy here, which is JWT. We also export the handlers of GET request and a post HTTP request. Then we also have the sign-in method, sign out, and we have auth, which is a variable that allows us to pretty much retrieve the user's information or the session data. And then we have our catch-all route and an API route. And we have one line of code that says export get and post from that auth file. So that's a quick overview. I need to create a video on the updated version, but some people give me shit about it pretty much because they think I recreate the same videos, even though there is a slight difference, which I feel like some people need help with. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is after we have the Prism file right here that we initialized the Prism client, I'm going to copy and paste over a bunch of schemas because a lot of these schemas we're going to use and there's no point in me typing it out. So the first schema we need is a user. So we have a user. We're not going to have audio files and we're not going to have the two-factor confirmation, or is two-factor enabled. Next, we are going to have a password reset token and a verification token. Let me copy that over. So we have verification token and a password reset token. All we're doing is defining the types and the properties that are related to the user model. And we need to create an account. Yeah, shoot away, Omar. I'm reading the chats too. I do have multiple screens open, so I could pretty much see whatever you guys type right away. And then we're also going to create a session model and an account model. The reason why we need an account model is because we're using the Google provider, and that is what you need. You need this account model. And what we have here is the ID has to have this decorator on it if you're using MongoDB. So at ID, at default, auto, at map, underscore ID, and the at db.object ID. So we have a user model, a verification token, an account, a session, and a password reset token. Every time you update the schema.prism, you have to run npx prism generate And then you have to run npx prism db push. So this is going to update. Sometimes it asks me that question. And this is going to update your database with all of these models. So for example, let's go to MongoDB, refresh the page, and then we're going to go browse collections. And as you can see now, we have an account, a password reset token, a session, a user, and a verification token. All of them are empty because obviously we don't have anything, but that means we successfully added pretty much models to our schema.prism file. Can you implement the PDF modification, PDF editing, e-signature, send PDF to other user, and other PDF related stuff? Yeah, I could look into it. Let me write it down though in my Notion. And then yes, Drizzle ORM with the repository pattern. I know Drizzle ORM, but the repository pattern, I don't know what you're talking about there. Not too familiar with Drizzle. Let me add that though. It's a PDF editing, so pretty much anything to do with the PDF. The reason why you probably don't see so many videos with the PDF is because you have stuff like Adobe Acrobat and like so many projects already with PDF editors that there's really not much else to code on a PDF. That's just a thinking I'm thinking of right now, but it could be totally different. Okay. But I added that PDF thing. I could definitely look into it in Drizzle ORM. If you could explain more, Funny Flicks, with the repository pattern. Okay. When I tried to use NextAuth for the Google login, it for some reason redirects me to an old page after successfully full login. Aman, does it give you any errors in your server? And if it doesn't, I think I kind of know why it's doing that. Let me check my code real quick on my other screen that I have. Oh man, everybody wants me to use Drizzle. Okay. I will use Drizzle tomorrow because, like I said, I'm not too familiar with Drizzle, and so I want to make sure I learn it before just showing it on stream and just sitting here looking at it. I kind of want to teach you guys stuff, so I'm definitely going to use Drizzle tomorrow. Let me put that in the notes. Drizzle seems very popular. I feel like Drizzle is fairly new too. So we have Drizzle. And then Aman, let me know if you get any errors in the server or in your console. It doesn't, either one, let me know. Okay, so the next step, let's finish these configuration files. So I'm just going to close all of these, and everything in the auth.config file is almost completely done. Next thing we need to do is we need to just do the functionality inside the credentials provider, which, like I said earlier, this credentials provider pretty much gives us the functionality to do checks when somebody tries to log in. The auth.ts file, no, you don't see any errors in the log. And it's just giving you a null page. Did you console log the user? And if you did, are you getting anything for console logging the user? And then also another check too, when doing the Google provider, which we're about to do here soon, make sure you're using the right keys and make sure you did everything right on the actual Google console. Did you do all the steps right on the Google console too? Make sure you did that and let me know. All right, so in the auth.ts file, the next thing we need to do is we need to add the adapter. So the adapter we have is the Prism adapter. We need to import at the top as Prism adapter. And that was that one package we downloaded. And then what we are passing in as a parameter inside the Prism adapter is our database. So that is from the Prism file over here. Oh, my fault. The lib file and then Prism dbts. And this, we're exporting it as a database. So we're going to pass it in the database here. Okay, so we are pretty much done for now with the auth config file, the auth.ts, and the catch-all route. We will definitely come back in here and do more work to it. But what we want to do, we actually want to create our own custom pages. So let's do that too. So inside of here, we could do pages. And inside the pages, we could do the sign in. And what we want to give the sign in page is we want to do /auth /sign in. This is going to be the route, or you could do login. We could do login because sign in is too many times used. And then make sure you have a comma after all these as well. It doesn't reach the callbacks at all to log the user. I don't think I did. No, I don't see. Are you using version 5? Because if you are, you got to do 3 configuration files. And if not, if you're not in my Discord, I have the Discord link above. Join the Discord, message me, and then do a screenshot of the code that you have, and then I should be able to help you as well. But we have the Prism adapter set up. We have a sign-in page, and now let's create some pages. So for our home page on the root, let's remove all of the code inside of the main. Remove this class name here. We could just do an H1 that says home. Remove the import of image at the top. And what we want to create now is we want to create these sign-in pages. So what I'm going to do is let's create an auth folder inside of the app folder. So that means our path is going to be localhost 3000 /auth. And inside of that, let's create another folder called login. Let's have a new file inside of that, page.tsx. That's obviously going to make the page public facing. And inside of this page.tsx, one strategy you want to do is obviously for the login form, there's going to be client-side interactivity. And that means you're going to have to mark the page as use client. But best practice is that you want to try to get as many server pages as you can. And then you import the client's components inside of your server page. So to do that, we are just going to run the snippet rafce. And we're going to do login page. And that snippet, if you don't know, it's a very popular extension. It's called ES7. I recommend downloading it, and then you could just do snippets of functional components. Okay, so I have this arrow function right here. And what I want to do is I just want to render out a login form component like this. It's going to give us an error because we don't have a login form component. So we are going to actually create a components folder, but to create the components folder, we're going to let shadcn UI do it. So this is going to be the UI library that I'm going to use for this project. Anybody in the chat use shadcn? And if you have, how do you guys like it? So we just got to initialize shadcn. Trying to show you guys everything I can to make sure everything is on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to answer the shadcn UI questions here. Which style I'm going to use? I'm going to use default. What color would you like to use? I'm going to use the slate. And then would you like to use the CSS variables for colors? I'm just going to put yes. Okay, so SATCN set up that quick, and what it did for us was create a components folder right here. So now I know I don't have to create it now. Getting tongue twisted there. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to create another folder inside of the components called auth. So we want to separate this project good because there's going to be so many files. And then after every day, I'm going to actually upload a repo of this specific code. So if you guys want to review, you can. And then I could put like episode 1, and then it'll be different repos inside of the same project. So we're going to have a new file. And then what we're going to do with this is we are going to create the login form. Or no, not a new file. Or yeah, no, we'll create a new file. I'm tripping right now. Okay, loginform.tsx. And now we could use a client component here. But before we do that, let's run RAFCE for React Functional Component. Rename this login form like that. Just remove the import from React at the top. And then let's make sure it gets imported here. Perfect. Perfect. Now we do npm run dev. Go back to localhost 3000. Now we could go to make sure this path is accessible /auth/login. And as you can see, we have login form, which is right here inside this div. Perfect. So now this is a server page, and then we can mark this as a use client. And then pretty much everything in here is going to be client-side interactivity, which will allow us to do that. Okay. So now we have the login page, and we are going to create the register page. We might as well just do that too. So it's going to be the same way. Inside of the auth folder inside of the app, we're going to create another folder called register. New page.tsx. React functional component. I'm just going to call this register page. And then let's see, inside of our components, let's create a new component. We're going to call this the register form. And then make sure we import it here inside the register page. Register form like that. Save everything, and let's go to localhost 3000 /auth/register. And as you see now, we have that page, register form. So we have those two pages set up correctly. I don't know if Omar is still in here. I think it was Omar. Or no. It's Aman. When you try to use the next auth for Google login, it for some reason redirects you to an old page. We're going to let's set up the Google provider right now for you. Okay, cool. So we're going to do the Google provider for us, and you're using version 5 or 4? So are you using the beta, which is version 5, or version 4, which is the stable version? You're using version 4? Okay. What I'm doing is version 5, but I think it works the same. I'll let you know if there's any syntax issue. Yes, you're still using version 4. Okay. So what you should have is you should have that catch-all route inside of the app, API, auth, and then the catch-all route. And then you should have your provider inside of this route.ts file. So make sure you have all that correct. And then make sure it kind of looks something like this. Like I said, my syntax is a little different. So you're going to have providers, and then you have Google, and then you have the client ID and the client secret, and then make sure they're stored in a process.env, Google _ client _ ID, or whatever you name it. And then just make sure these names are the same, because I've done it before where these names weren't the same inside your env file, and it doesn't work. So we are going to just copy and paste those over, press equal, go back to the auth config, copy this, and then equal as well. Okay, so make sure those variables are the same in the env file. Next thing you want to do is you need to get these variables. So to do that, I don't know if you've done this, you do go to the Google Cloud Console, Google Cloud Platform, the first one that pops up. Go to APIs and Services, and then it should look something like this. Make sure you create a new project, or whatever project you're in, make sure you're in it. This is going to be AI chat bot SaaS. Organization, I'm going to put none. No organization, I mean. And then next, let this load up. So after you create it, just make sure you're in it at the top here left. Sometimes you have multiple projects. I'm going to go in mine. Okay, let me check. You're using, I'm assuming, TypeScript. You have an error, and probably a type error at auth options on line 37. The Google provider looks good. I don't use the authorization parameter, so you don't need that for version 4. I don't even use that at all. Make sure, just based on this code, make sure your Google client ID and secret are correct. Are your Google ID, client, and secret correct? Make sure they're correct, and I'm going to keep going through this and keep watching this to make sure you did everything correct. So we're going to go to the credentials provider. Also, the user can log in, and then it's becoming null. You say it doesn't reach the callbacks at all to log the user. I don't think I did anything wrong in the console. Might be wrong. So you can't do what you do in console log dot session. Your console log in the session. I'm going to keep continuing with this, but every time you type, I'll be able to see it. So we're going to do create credentials. We are going to create an OAuth client ID. This is for the Google provider, guys. A client ID is used to identify a single app to Google Auth servers. If your app runs on multiple platforms, each will need its own client ID. So we're going to configure the consent string. Choose how you want to configure and register your app, including your target users. You can only associate one app with your project. So we're going to click external here, create. Our app name, the name of the app that's asking for consent. I don't know the name. what is going to be the name? Chatty. We'll just do Chatty for now. And the SaaS we guys are creating, it is a widget that we're going to allow business owners, anybody who owns a website, they're going to be able to pretty much quickly edit a chatbot on our SaaS software. They're going to get a script tag, and they're going to have a widget at the bottom right of their website that allows for their chatbot to be unique to their website. Yeah, Aman, just let me know what the console log of this session is. If you're saying it's null, is it null the whole time, or is it null for a second and then it pops up? Make sure you select your user support email, which is usually associated with your Gmail account. Don't need an app logo. If you want to, go ahead. It's null for the whole time, but it's log in the min. Is the user, oh man, this is, I'm just trying to figure out a bunch of questions I could ask, try to like diagnose the problem. Or I mean, try to get the solution. Is the user getting put in the database? Whatever database you're using, is the user actually getting sent there? App domain, you don't need any of this. You don't need the logo. For add domain, the domain we are going to do, I'm not 100% sure, but I think for this we could do HTTP localhost 3000. And if you're using V, I think the localhost is different. Yeah, HTTP. I guess it's not there. I haven't done the Google console in so long. Let me just check real quick with my other projects. Nope. Oh yeah, it's authorized redirect callback. Okay. Make sure your callback, that's another thing. Aman, if your callback isn't the /API /auth /callback /Google. And then make sure it's localhost 3000 or whatever you're using, or if it's a domain you're actually using, to make sure it's a domain. So you want to do that. I don't think that's in the authorized callback. How to open up Google Authentication in a new window? I mean pop-up rather than redirect user. I don't honestly think there's a way. There's no way I'm stuck on this right now. I might have to watch my videos to get through this. How to open up Google Authentication in a new window? I mean pop-up rather than redirect the user. The only thing I could think of is I'm going to open up my other project and I'm going to show you. I don't think there is a way, actually. Let me see. The Firebase auth does. Let's look it up right now. Providers. OAuth provider. So you don't want it to... How to open up Google authentication in new window. I mean pop-up, rather than redirecting the user. Are you talking like redirecting the user? Like they have to be redirected to the Google authentication? Are you talking like they, no matter what, they have to be redirected to authenticating their Gmail account? There's no getting around that. But like Firebase Auth does, I'm assuming Firebase. If you could explain more of what you mean, I might be able to kind of figure it out. But real quick, I'm gonna have to watch. I'm pretty sure Google Auth does that automatically as a feature. I don't. I like if. Let me see real quick. I'm gonna open up my app. So I have voicefusion.io. This is like one of the ones I've created. If you click say sign in, like above one. It's my. So if you do like a Google like this is what we're creating. He's talking about like a href equals target equals blank. For the next auth. Oh yeah, I remember that method. I've used Firebase maybe right when I first started. Sign in with pop-up. He's talking about like the a tag href target blank. Yeah, I don't know if they have one for next auth. So pretty much open in a new browser. The target attribute specifies where the link document will open. Huh. I don't think NextAuth has that. Maybe they have a redirect. Let me check real quick. They might have a redirect inside the auth.ts. Oh. Oh yeah, I did do a video on that. Sign in with pop-up, yeah. Damn, that's crazy. Blanket, you're a true one. Definitely good that we have somebody in here who's kind of been through the beginning of my YouTube journey. But yeah, I don't know if NextAuth does. I'm gonna have to figure it out. Like I'm not like the best at NextAuth, but like I'll get it done. But the Google thing is like I'm right here right now. You choose an account, so I have like a bunch of random accounts. You sign in, continue. And then something went wrong. Oh, it's because I don't have that Gmail account. Okay, something went wrong there. Oh, I don't think I pushed this code, so that's not going to work in production right now. It's only going to work in localhost. Yeah, that was the video that made a subscriber. That was super helpful. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, I try to come out with good stuff. But I don't think so. Like the only way the Google provider works, it only works one way with NextAuth. I don't think it does with like it does with Firebase. Okay. I'm actually gonna have to rewatch a section of one of my videos real quick just to see what I did. Give me 1 second. You guys watch, what do you guys usually watch on YouTube? You could tell a lot about a person by their homepage, you know? Let me go to my videos. So here's my Google provider with MongoDB. I'm stuck on the authorized domain right here on the Google Cloud. I know where it is in the video. I can just skip to it. Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Brett, and today I'm going to show you guys how to use the and then we're just going to click save and continue. You don't need to fill out any of the other fields. It was a different UI. These options to fill them out. That's my email. Let's create username and password. Oh no, it wasn't. Test with the Google. We can name it anything we want. We can name it like test. Our support email is going to be dabrettwestwood@gmail.com. That's my email. Got a bunch on golf. And then you have to do your email again down here. I'm working on Python for data science, so a bunch of those videos too. Yeah, it'll be that's cool. I'm never really gotten into golf. I feel like I'm gonna get into golf on a motor though, because I definitely like staying active. But yeah, that'd be really bad if like somebody's homepage was just like a bunch of girls. Like if my homepage was just a bunch of girls and you guys just saw that, I'd be like, damn, I'm a degenerate. Okay, so let me go back to this code. Why isn't this sticking? I don't know. I don't think I need any of these redirect URIs. Oh, no, I do. It's the authorized domain. I don't think I need the authorized domain. You're only 26, but COVID got a bunch of you and your buddies into golf. Never too early to start, to be honest. Where are you from? I feel like everything. Yeah, I mean, golf's a good sport, man. Golf's like considered honestly the best sport out there. Oh, actually, I didn't need to create the domain. I am in testing mode, right? Yes. Yeah, I can't use localhost as the authorized domain from Cali. Yeah, I thought I had to have an authorized domain, but I guess not. My memory is not that good right now. You're from Cali, SoCal? Nice. Never been. I'm from Florida. Yeah, got huge in the last couple of years. Yeah, I played Topgolf before. Not the best, but I'm decent at it. But Topgolf's fun. Okay, so after we did that, I don't need the authorized domain. I'm a full-time SWE. What's SWE? Like a sweetie with Edie? No, I'm not full-time anything. And then any scopes we have to add the first 3. The first 3 scopes, and then click update, and then click save and continue. And then to add test users, we don't have to, so we click save and continue here. So the part I was stuck on, guys, was the authorized domains. You don't need any authorized domains. And other than that, everything looks good to go. Here is the summary, and then we click back to dashboard. And the other thing we need to do is we need to create the credentials. So the credentials, when we create these, this is what allows us to get those env variables. So we're going to click create credentials up here. We're going to click the OAuth client ID. It's going to be a web application. No, I know it. I know I'm not a software engineer full time. I do like marketing and some front end work for a guy, like on a contract base. So it's a month-to-month thing, but I've been doing it for about 4 years with him. He owns a local business here, and I also do other side stuff as well. and then like the YouTube, flipping some furniture, stuff like that. How you host your portfolio website? I mean, you use Docker thing. No, I've never used Docker. I just host on Vercel. So Vercel is the only place I host on. Let me name this AI chatbot SaaS. Hey, do you go to college in SoCal? Blanket. I mean, it's probably Jack. Great. You do Vercel too? Okay, so the authorized redirect URIs. Okay, so the redirect URI is this callback right here. So it's the /API /auth and then /callback /Google. Okay, cool. So after you create that, you get the OAuth client created. You get your client ID here. We're going to copy it. We will paste the client ID there. And then we need the client secret as well. And we will paste that here as well. Let me just make sure those look good. Yep, everything looks good. So now we have both of the files we need and we're good to go. You went to college in Boston? Nice. I actually, I'm in Tampa, Florida. So the University of South Florida, there's a lot of kids from the Boston area that go to USF. You probably know it because, I mean, no exaggeration, probably every other kid at USF is either from the Boston area. Is Vercel free? Like, can I put a custom domain to it for free? Yeah, you could put a custom domain to it for free. You could either buy a domain through Vercel, which makes it very easy, or you just hook up your DNS records and it's free. All you got to do is just like hook up the A-type. It's one of the DNS records, but the steps are very forward simple. That's actually a good video I could make too. Let me add that to my Notion. To connect domain to Vercel. Because I actually had to do that one time. I had to connect a domain from oh, you've been USF before? I told you, everybody from Boston has been USF. Yeah, I graduated from USF in 2018 with a finance degree. And yeah, no, it's cool. It's an okay school. It's not a big sports school or anything. I don't understand though why like everybody from Boston goes to USF. There must be like some recruiting program or something there. I don't know what's going on. You get a 401 unauthorized status code in the callback URL and the URL is redirected after selecting the preferred account. You get a 401 unauthorized status code on the callback URL and the user is redirected. There's Aman, I'm probably going to have to I could talk to you on Discord after my live and we could try to work it out. But it's kind of I don't think I could solve it just through messages. I probably have to like actually play around with this. So we could do like a Zoom call or something and I could help you out after. So it's like a database and stuff can be configured for free on Vercel. Yeah, I think it can. Let me show you real quick. Okay, so say if you go to like one of your projects in Vercel. Yeah, Aman, just make sure, let me know if you're going to leave the live chat and you already messaged me on Discord. So if anything, I'll message you on Discord. If you want to stay, you can, but if not, it's all good. I'll message you on Discord right after. But if you want to set up a database, you can configure it for free on Vercel. You can actually connect a database and create a new database here. But I think after so many users and just pretty much data to your database, they charge you. I'm not 100% sure how much it is. I usually don't make a database through Vercel, but it is possible, and I think it is. They do have a free tier. Oh, nice. Graduated from Northeastern 2021 with a finance/data analytics degree. Very nice. And Northeastern, very popular. Just trying to get away from Boston winters. Yeah, probably, honestly. Yeah, so many people have moved to Tampa and just Florida in general. It's crazy. Because I've lived here my whole life and I've never seen so much traffic. But yeah, Florida's nice. I mean, Boston's nice too. I definitely want to go up there. I heard the Cape Cod, the Cape up in Boston is very nice. There's like a super rich area too, I think, up there around the Cape. Say if you have a custom backend in Node.js, can I host that for Vercel for free? I know you can host it on Vercel, but I don't know if you could do it for free. I'm not 100%, so I don't want to tell you that. But you can host a custom backend in Node.js. But I know Next.js pushes their full stack framework, so I would recommend just using that. But I know there is some benefits of using Node.js as your backend as well. And the support for Vercel, honestly, like it's really hard to actually talk to an actual human. So you usually have to go through like forums and stuff like that, or send in a ticket. And obviously your ticket's a better priority support if if you're a paying member. So if you pay for like a membership for Vercel, they're definitely going to prioritize your support ticket. But I think it's like they have like different tiers, like they have like a $10 a month, $20 a month, stuff like that. Sure, I can understand. Thanks for your help. 100%. Yeah, Cape Cod is very pretty. Would recommend coming to Boston in the fall if you can. Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely need to come. Personally been out for spring break a couple times, but always a vibe. Yeah. Yeah, Tampa's cool. I mean, Miami is a different animal though. Like you've probably been to Miami. I've been to Miami like once though, and I've lived in Florida my whole life. But if you've been to Miami, you can definitely tell it's a different vibe. Azure gives phone support for free. Yeah, I mean, I've never used them, so they probably do. There's a lot of places that gives phone support for free. I just don't know why Vercel. I mean, they probably don't have a crazy big team like some of these other companies. Okay, now we have the client ID in secret. I'm gonna obviously remove these. Don't show this to anybody. Next we want to actually test it out. So let's test out the Google provider. So we have our local host running. I'm just gonna stop it because we did change some env variables. I have so many files open right now. Okay, so to test it, we could go to that route /API auth sign in. Oh, and the reason why it's taking us to the login form is because in the auth.ts file, I did the sign in page as this route. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to comment this out. Refresh the page. Actually, I might have to restart the whole server. So npm. Okay. /auth, or no, /API. /auth/sign-in. Okay, cool. Now it's working. So that's one of the reasons why inside the auth.ts file is if you pretty much, you could change the pages to be your custom pages. So the auth login page, that's why we're going to have this page to be it, but we're going to have our own custom form made by Shadcn. So we're going to click sign in with Google, see if everything works. Okay, so there's a problem with the server configuration. Check the server logs for more information. IKM must be an instance of unit. ICAM must be an instance of unit 8 array or a string. I've never seen that error before. Let me make sure I did everything right real quick, and then I'll answer your question. So we have our auth.config file. We have the client ID and the client secret. We're passing it through here, spreading through it. And then we have it here as well. There's an error equals configuration. And then inside of the chatbot SaaS, AI chatbot SaaS, my screen feels so cluttered. Give me 1 second, guys. This live streaming and actually working is way harder than I thought. Oh, yep, you're right. JWT secret is missing. I feel like my head honestly is all over the place, just like looking at the screen, questions, which I like though. I want to answer and talk to you guys. That's way more important than anything. And if anything, I could just make videos on these, which making the videos, at least you're like 100% focused and you could actually teach. But yep, there's supposed to be a secret. So I think the secret had to be a certain way too. It had to be spelled a certain way. It is next auth underscore secret. Okay, so in the .env file, next auth underscore secret, and then this could be anything. So I'm just going to type in some random gibberish. And then the other thing, we have a next underscore public underscore app underscore URL. I'm going to copy that real quick, paste it, localhost 3000. Okay, so let's restart the development server again. npm run dev. We are going to open up localhost 3000. Go back to the API route, sign in with Google, sign in with our account, sign in to Chatty, and we should be logged in. And one way we could tell is we could console log it, but really quick, we could just tell if because we have an adapter to Prism, which connects to our database. So we're going to refresh and look and see if we have a new account inside of our account. And as you can see, we do have an account here. So good catch on the JWT secret is missing. Like stuff like that simple could literally ruin the whole app. And I don't understand why the errors for the console don't just tell you straight up like you told me. It would make our life so much easier, man. I just don't understand. Okay. So next, I think we have a few more people in here. So if you guys, welcome. If you guys do want me to review some of the stuff I've done, go ahead, just type it in the chat. Other than that, welcome to my live stream. Okay. So we have the Google provider set and ready to go. Next thing I want to do is I do want to set up a few things from ShadCN UI. And we have already initialized ShadCN. So what I'm going to do is open up ShadCN. And the components we want is we want a button. That's going to be one. So we're just going to use npm. We can open up another terminal. Just paste it here. Enter. And then if you want to be able to tell if it was successful, inside the components, there's a UI folder it creates, and then the button. So the button's good to go. Next thing I want to add is I want to add a card. Let's do the installation for the card. Please use another UI library for fun. Oh, okay. Which one do you want then? Tell me a library and we could use it. I feel like ShatsCN, just like everybody likes it. So I was like, hey, I'm going to use it. And plus I like it too. But if you have another suggestion, we could definitely try something. I'm going to keep installing these. If anything, I could just uninstall them. And then I'll check out the libraries. There's actually a new library, I think, called like Accentra UI. I don't know what it is, but I know it's kind of new. And I think I was going to do a video on it as well. But we have a button, we have a card. We also want the form. So the form component is what we are going to use for our login form and register form. And a very, very good, what library do you want to use? If you give me a suggestion, I can definitely look at it. Are you just that good that you're bored with it? You could customize the components in ShatsCN. I mean, you could customize them inside these files right here if you really wanted to. Okay, but we have the form, we have the card. And now, like I was saying, a really good YouTuber that I've watched is Code with Antonio. I know a bunch of you probably watched him. So a lot of this is kind of inspired by him. But I mean, I've been learning Next Auth before he actually came out this most recent video that he did. But if you haven't, it's like an 8-hour video of just Next Auth stuff. It's very good. Definitely highly recommend watching that. But for now, let's create the register page. And for us, we have the app folder, we have the auth folder, and then we have a register page. Which is animation heavy. I know, like, I've been working around with the SVG files and images because it's really easy to animate those. It's a lot more code, but I feel like animations can be an overkill on websites. I feel like maybe having one animation, maybe two on the website is good enough. Any more than that, I feel like it's just overkill, and it just messes with a lot of stuff. But if you do have a library that's animation heavy, let me know and I could look at it. Because we do want to add animations to this SaaS. But for now, the register form, we have the register page. We want to keep it server side, so we have a component that's rendered. And inside the register form, this is going to be a use client. So now we're going to create the register form. Reason why I'm creating the register form before the actual login form is because I want to be able to register the user and then test out the login after. So that's kind of my thinking. And we just did the Google provider, which is set and ready to go. We just got to create a custom Google button for that, which is easy. So for the register form, we are going to, like I said, we're going to use the form component, which is inside of ShatsCN, and it gave us a few packages. So the register form actually gave us Zod, which pretty much just checks your types through TypeScript. And then we also have, where is it? And we have a few Radix actual packages as well. And then we have the hook form resolvers package as well, which we're going to need to use. So let's go to register form. I was thinking Next UI, since everything is Next. By IDK, I'm using it too, but testing it. It doesn't output correctly by IDK if I have to add more to the CSS with Tailwind. I've never heard of ShadCN. Next UI. You've never heard of ShadCN? Let me check out Next UI real quick. Let me just see what that looks like. I don't think I've ever used Next UI. I've heard of it though. Oh, I know what you're talking. Yeah, Next UI. Yeah, they're pretty big too. Components. Yeah, no, I mean it's like it's the same thing. ShadCN and Next UI look literally very, very similar. Yeah, they have a card, checkbox, breadcrumbs, button, accordion, avatar, drop down. They have one that's called navbar. It's pretty cool. Yeah. No, if you want to use Next UI, go ahead and use Next UI. But if you never use ShadCN, I have their MUI button effects. I hate their MUI button effects. Who's Next UI? Colors, danger. It looks solid. Like there's nothing past that is loading prop to display spinner component inside the button. It doesn't look horrible. But I guess I'll just, since they're very similar, I'm already using ShadCN, I'm going to do that. But if you never use ShadCN, all you got to do is just go to installation, Next.js, run the CLI. If you haven't already created your next project, run the CLI, just copy it here, answer some of the configuration questions. And then after that, all you have to do is go to a component of your choosing. So let's say a button, which is pretty popular. Click code. Install the CLI again for the button. It'll create a components and then UI. Click on a button, you'll see it effect. Okay, one sec. I'll click on that button. But after you pretty much install the CLI on ShadCN, it'll create a components folder, a UI folder, and then it'll have the button. And then all you do is import the button from the components /UI/button, and then you use it inside of your code. It's that simple. And then obviously there's a bunch of variants, stuff like that, but that's just pretty much the basis of it. So let's go Next UI, click the button. You talking about like that, where it's like, where it shows where you click? It's not horrible. I kind of like it. I know what you're saying. It's not horrible. Yeah. It's definitely different, but I don't think it's horrible. Okay. So we are going to create the register form with ShadCN UI form. So what we're going to do is, first thing first is let's create a card wrapper. So this is going to be the end result right here. So let me go to Voice Fusion. I don't know why. The dashboard thing wasn't working because of some other reason, but okay. So if we sign out of Voice Fusion, this is my app. We are going to create a register page that looks similar to this. So we have a name, email, password, and confirm password, and then we have the register button, and then we have the Google provider button right here. And then we already have an account. You click here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create this card wrapper. This looks very similar, like I said, to Code with Antonio. Like I said, I highly recommend him. Fucking great dude on YouTube to follow. Long videos though, don't get me wrong. Very long, but definitely worth it. So for the register form, like I said, let's create a card wrapper. So inside of this components and then auth folder, we're going to create a new file called cardwrapper.tsx. And we're going to have to style this better when the screen definitely gets smaller. But for now, this project isn't completely done either. Okay, so let me build the card wrapper real quick. And for the card wrapper, I'm going to mark this as a use client, which isn't a big deal. It's a component. Inside of this, we are going to import the card, which we installed from ShatsCN. So we have the card, we have the card content, we have the card header and card footer. That's what we're using. And this is going to be from components /UI/card. Like that. Damn, the Copilot wasn't working right there. Gives me the wrong thing. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is we want to run RAFCE. We could call this card wrapper. Remove this import here. And then what we're going to do is instead of this div, we are going to wrap everything in a card. And then we are going to have a card header. Inside of the card header, we are going to create a custom component called header. Just like that. And also too, with a bunch of this stuff I'm doing here, I kind of already have a lot of it already done before. How you created the Voice Fusion dashboard UI? Have you used any template? I know I didn't use any template. I actually just looked on Dribble. So if you guys don't know what Dribble is, it's like designer inspiration dashboards. I just kept one on the side and I just kind of like coded it from scratch. So no, there's no template. And the thing with I already know what it's doing. It's because I already have an account that's associated with that email, so it won't let me log in Google. But no, this is like a dashboard. This is my other project that I've been working on. It is a SaaS. So like here's the dashboard. And what you can do is you could go to voices. And then there's a bunch of voices here. I wonder if you guys could hear it. I don't know if you can. So like you could type whatever you want. So hi there, generate. It makes the call to the API in 11 Labs.
Hi there. Hi there.
It does that. I can save to my dashboard. And then as you can see, it says I have 9 of 1,000 free characters left. And if I want to upgrade, I could upgrade to a pro membership for like 20,000 characters a month. And then if you go to dashboard, I did 1 voice creation, 9 characters used. I have 1 saved audio file, and then it's down here. And then if you have like a big list, it'll like paginate it. And then you could like search for your saved voice.
Hi there.
So that's pretty much the project I've been working on. It's not horrible. And then you have like the settings, upgraded pro. But we're going to create a lot of this stuff for the project that we're doing right now as well. So if you're interested in that project, just let me know. You using Copilot or Tab9? I'm using Copilot. I have the paid version of Copilot. So you set any max width on the dashboard. Like if you zoom out, then UI looks good. So you set any max width on dashboard. Like if you zoom out, then UI looks good. I think I had the max width. Let me look at my code. I actually have the code to the side here. So you set any max width. I think, oh no, I didn't set a max width. I just, I set padding left and right. That's all I did. And then the cards here are grids. So like it'll be a grid columns too on all pages. And then when it gets like to a certain breakpoint, it goes to grid columns 1. But it's all PX. It's like PX 20. so it won't ever touch the sides here. And then obviously this I still need style, but like I said, it's still a work in project, but it's coming along. Okay, so we're gonna create a header component. Let me go to /auth/register. We are going to create a header component, which we haven't created yet. It's a reusable component. That's a good thing about Next and React. We're going to have some card content. Inside of the card content, we're just going to render out some children. And to render out the children, we're going to have to pass it inside of the props up here, because technically you can't have children down here unless we pass it through props in here. And then we are going to have a card footer as well. So like I said, I've already worked on Voice Fusion. Is the header the navbar? For this case, no. So I'm gonna create. I haven't created the navbar yet. I'm just working on the authentication. The header is technically. Yeah, you're right. I should probably rename it because it could be confusing. Let me name this to I'll rename it to card header, or no, because it's already right there. I'll name this to auth header. So it's just like if you're on the register page, it's going to say register. And if you're on the login page, you'll say login. So that's what the auth header is, or the header. So let's create that component as well. And that's going to be created inside the auth components here. So we're going to do auth header.tsx. And what we are going to do, RAFCE. We could call this auth header. Okay. So what we are going to do here, we're going to have a class name with full flex column gap y of 4 item center. How did you learn how to code? Just self-taught? Yes, correct. Just self-taught. That's pretty much their YouTube videos. Pretty much videos, honestly. And then just obviously actually creating projects. So like this Voice Fusion project I've been creating on the side is a fully functional project. Another project that I've created a few websites for people in real life as well. So I have, my brother runs a junk removal company. So here's a website as well, his website. It gets the job done. And then you could just book through his website. It's connected with Stripe. Everything's hooked up. You could see when you want to rent a dumpster. You could actually pay through his site. I mean, he's had customers go through his site. His SEO is good. It's oh, she just realized it's like 2:30 a.m. for you. The grind set. Yeah, no, it is 2:30. It actually went by pretty quick. But yeah, no, I just create projects on the side. Like creating projects, I feel like I've learned the most. Creating his website, I learned so much about the Stripe API, which I have a few videos on Stripe, but I just need to sit down and really create videos, because creating videos on YouTube does take a lot of time and it is very time consuming. Just creating the thumbnail, creating timestamps, stopping the video, making sure everything's said correctly, no pauses, stuff like that. I mean, especially if you have a little OCD and stuff like I do, you want everything to try to be as good as you can. So that'd be the best. Do you want a job in the future? Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I'd rather, as long as it's like hybrid. I wouldn't want a full-time office job. If it's like a hybrid job with flexible hours, I'll take it. But I'm not in a rush right now. Like I said, I do other side, like ways of making income. So I feel like I'm okay right now, money-wise. Obviously, everybody wishes they make more, but If I do get a job, hopefully it's hybrid or fully remote. That would be the best. Because I still want to do YouTube. YouTube's cool. Like, YouTube's fun. Like, you get to meet people, talk to people like you guys. I mean, it's like the only job that's like this. And I wouldn't consider YouTube my job. Like, it's just like, this is just like, I guess, part-time stuff. But you never know. It could be full-time. There's definitely money in YouTube for sure, from ad revenue and all that stuff. But this was just a few of the projects I created. Then obviously I have my like Dev Vibe Studio, where like I try to get clients through here. Other than that, it's not, like I said, I just recommend people doing projects like I'm here on live. Obviously it's taking me a lot longer to code since I'm live, but hopefully you guys appreciate the communication back and forth. Okay. So what we want to do. Yeah, no problem. No, I appreciate you joining the live. Yeah. Definitely motivating to have people in the live. You know, it sucks if you're talking to nobody. But let's finish this auth header. So this auth header isn't the navbar. It's how long did it take you to do this SaaS? Well, the demo you're broadcasting to us. If you're talking about the voice one, I've been working on and off it for like 3 months. And then this one that I'm doing live right now, I'm creating this one from scratch. Obviously, I'm using some components I've used in the past, but the one I'm working on right here with you guys live, I've never created it. But I kind of know, I've used OpenAI API before, which is what we're going to use for the chatbot. It's the AI assistant API. And I think that's in beta too, but we're going to use that for this specific SaaS. But I haven't created it, so this is literally day one. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a justify center too. Have you created a SaaS at all, Loco? Or any projects? Like, how far are you in your development career? We're going to have a dynamic title here because, like I said, this title is either going to be register or login. So we're going to have to create that dynamic title. Then what we can do here is we can actually import CN, and this CN package library is actually allows us to pretty much use two separate Tailwind CSS, I don't know what you'll call them, functions inside of the same element. If I ask for proper guidance for DBA, will you be able to provide it with cloud knowledge? If I ask probably not, but if I would say no. I'm not too familiar with it. Okay, so we could use the CN package here. Pretty much allows you to do a few different things. Actually, we're not going to use it here. I'll use it in a little bit. It's really not that important. And I kind of want to explain it better than just freeballing it. So let's just create a class right here. We're going to have the text S3XL. And then the font is going to be semi-bold. And then what we're going to have here, we're going to have an interface. We're going to call this header props. And the header props we are going to have is we are going to have a label, which will be a string. And then we will have a title, which will be a string as well. And then right underneath the H1, we are going to have a p tag. This p tag is going to be the label. It's going to be dynamic. We're going to have text muted foreground, and then text small. Well, mine is hybrid type. I'm using a server Spring Boot, doing all the API calls to MongoDB to get users. One user, products, logging, or registering. But I'm using Firebase for the authentication part. Oh, nice. Oh, so you're creating your own SaaS. I don't know why I thought you were talking about your job. Oh, so what is the SaaS? It's a hybrid type. I'm using a server Spring Boot, doing all the API calls. Okay. Do you is it like, do you have a website or anything for it? Like custom domain? We could check it out. Because we do have a community in like the Discord, so if you put it in there, you know, people could, you never know, give you some critiques, you know, constructive criticism, I guess, if you want to call it. It's always good when you're coding. Okay, so we have this. We're gonna have to create these dynamics elsewhere. So let's go back to the card wrapper. Let's make sure we import the auth header at the top to get rid of this error. And the next thing we want to do is inside the card wrapper, I'm going to create an interface card wrapper props. We have children. We're going to pass in some children. We are also going to pass in, what do we call it? We could call it the header label. That is going to be a string. We can also do a back button label. That is going to be a string as well. No, not really. Haven't made it public. I'm trying to get the client side up and running. Was trying to get the login and register working first, but it doesn't look good at the moment, I think. Are you using auth? Wait, you're saying, oh, it doesn't look good like... Check SATCN. It gives you the component done, basically the basic of it. Yeah, I'm trying to create the form kind of from scratch based on Voice Fusion. So I'm trying to work on it from there. I know SATCN kind of gives you a basis of it, but I've done that before. And I didn't like it. So I liked the way I was doing it. But are you talking about you don't like how your client side looks? Or are you talking about like the authentication's not working at all? We're going to have a title of string. I'm going to have a social, which is going to be pretty much, it's going to show the Google login or not. And it's going to be optional. It's going to be a Boolean. We're going to have a back button href. And that is going to be a string as well. I just saved it real quick. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I think that's all we need. So let's start passing some of this in. We have the children. We have the header label. We have the back button label. Kind of want to do it in order. We have the back button href. We have the title. We have the social. And that's it. And then let's assign it to the card wrapper props. Cool. So everything looks pretty... Oh, Check. Know the clients that I'm making the register page. I use the input fields of Next UI, but it looks way. Can I share the Discord? Would like to join the community? Yeah. Let me share real quick, and then I'm gonna answer your question local real quick, or look at your comment. So I'm going to paste the Discord link in here if you guys want to join, if you aren't in the Discord. So that should be the Discord link to join. You said know the client side of making the register page. I use the input fields of Next UI, but it looks way off from what the examples show from the site. IDK why it's doing that. So I'm going to try ShadCN and then customize it on my own. Yeah, I would recommend ShadCN. I've actually never used Next UI. Like, this is how a login form and register form would look with ShadCN that we're going to make. Oh my god, I have so much stuff running on my computer. Why is this not signed? God, it's just so laggy my computer right now. Probably from like live streaming with like 15 tabs open. Okay. So this is like ShadCN. This is very basic. We're going to create this, but we could style this way better. Like, this is just the card wrapper inputs. These are inputs from ShadCN. This is the bind from ShadCN. So we have the card, the button. What else do we have from ShadCN on here? I think that might be it with the components from ShadCN. Oh, we have a label too. I think this is a label component. So label, input, card wrapper, card, buttons. So this is like something you could do, and then you could obviously customize it. It doesn't look too bad. And then obviously you could style with Tailwind CSS as well. But let's get back to this and actually finish this register form. Okay. So we have the card, and then we have the card header, and all of these had to be passed down. And then we have the auth header. And inside of the auth header, we have to set some props too, which is going to be the title and the label. So we already have the interface here. So what we could do is we could set these as props, and we're working backwards, which isn't the best, but it does it. Question, does ShadCN create the components in UI folder, or do I need to create it on my part? So when I load the example coordinating component, it just loads it for me there. No, you don't have to create the components and the UI folder. You don't have to create the components or the UI folder. Let me show you real quick, since we're talking about it. Okay, so if you want to, for example, you want to have the accordion. First, you make sure the installation for Next.js, you have the CLI command ran. So make sure you initialize ShadCN UI at latest init. So make sure that's done. And then it will configure you like some configuration questions you'll answer. You get that done. So after you do steps 1, 2, and 3 of the installation, you go to accordion, click code. You're going to run the CLI for the accordion, run in your terminal. After that, all you have to do is pretty much after you run the CLI for the accordion, it creates a components folder for you. And inside the components folder, it creates the UI folder for you with the accordion.tsx file. So you could go in there and you could look around, but technically you don't have to change anything inside of that accordion TSX file, inside of the UI folder. All you have to do is then you could go to, like, say, your home page, import the accordion at the top, accordion content, accordion item, accordion trigger, and then you could literally copy this code right here and then change whatever you need. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, you don't have to create the components and you do not have to create the UI folder. It does it for you when you run the CLI command. And then just make sure you import it from the components /UI / if it's accordion, button, badge, whatever it is. Okay, let's go back. So what we have in our code is we have the card wrapper, right? So we have this card wrapper and it's going to be wrapping our register and login form. And what that is going to do is we have to have it inside of our register page. So our register page has the register form component. And this register form component is going to be wrapped in a card wrapper, right? And that's the component we made. So let's import the card wrapper. So we have it imported at the top, right? And what we do here in the card wrapper is if you go to the card wrapper, we are accepting a lot of props, right? So we need to pass these props into this card wrapper. So to do that, the card wrapper is actually called on the register form. And what we're going to pass, we are going to pass the header label, right? That's one of them. So for the register, we could call create an account like that. And then if you hover over, if you have TypeScript, it's telling you, hey, it's missing the following properties from type card wrap props, children, back button label, title, and back button href. So we need to add those still, right? So we have a title, and the title we are rendering dynamically. So the title is going to be, it could be register, it could be sign up. We're just going to put register. After that, we're going to have a back button href. And this back button href is if they already have an account, the back button is just going to take them to the auth/login page. And the reason why is because that's the login page route. That's public facing. Another thing we are going to do, I see emojis on the screen. I don't know what that means, but let's see. Okay. So we have the back button href, and that is going to go to this specific route. We have the back button label, which is going to be the label for the href. And this is going to be already have an account, something along the lines of that we're going to do. So already have an account, you can be signed in here. And then we do social, right? And that could be just like that. And then we're still getting an error, and it's because property children is missing in type. So the reason why property children is missing in type is because we have no children within this card wrapper. So now we can actually create some children in the card wrapper. So we have a form, and the form is going to come from react-hook-form. And that is actually used. Hello, IDK. I'm watching this. Have no interest in React, but here for the support. Yeah, I appreciate it. Wait, so do you code at all? Or you probably told me earlier. Yeah, I think you did tell me earlier. I know you have a degree in finance in data analytics, but if you don't code, hey man, that's true support though. I know you did the one video, the Google provider one. I know you said you did. But we do have the form component that's from React Hook Form. And that package came from the actual oh yeah, you told me that. Duh. I don't know why I thought just finance, like a finance major. Oh yeah, okay, makes sense. Not your cup of tea. Actually, I do want to get into Python. I just you know, when everybody starts coding, it's like JavaScript and React. So it's like, I don't know, my mindset's like try to be good at that, like really good at that, and then maybe move on to Python. But I don't know. We'll see. So we get the form from the React hook form component, and that was imported. And this has to be the use form. Just like that. But now it's just a cup of tea. Oh, okay, yeah, good, local. That I'm glad I answered your question. Yeah, I learned JavaScript first. Actually, now I learned Python. So I love JavaScript personally, but makes so much more sense to use Python for data. Yeah, I agree. Even though I don't really know Python like that, I've definitely seen a few videos here and there, like you are right now, and I could definitely tell Python's for data. It's not even close. Oh, I want to ask you, since you made a website for Brother, very good by the way. Thank you. I was thinking of making a floating nav bar, but the way it looks, it's going to be, well, the shape of a search bar of, well, the web browser, but also have a glass effect. Do you think this is a good design method? Oh yeah, like I think it's called like glass formic or glass morphic. A lot of people on Figma, like designers, have been using that. I think right now it's trendy, so yeah, I think it is a good method. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's so you're just gonna have like rounded full corners, I think, like using Tailwind, and then you're just gonna make sure like it's like an absolute position, like top 10 or even top 5, and then it's always at the top, like 5 or 10 away from the top. Doesn't I don't think it should be hugging the top of the page, but yeah, no, I think it's a very good design, and it is different than just the original nav bar. So whatever website you're doing, it should definitely work for. I think Tailwind actually in their docs has like a class for that glass effect, like specifically for that glass effect. It is pretty popular. The glass effect is very, very popular. But yeah, I say go for it. Okay, so what we did was we import, let me remove this. So we import the use form at the top from react-hook-form. And then what I want to do is I want to define a form right here. So we're going to say const form equals use form. This is going to take in an object, and inside of this object, we're going to have a resolver. And the resolver is going to be a Zod resolver, and that is coming from at hook form /resolvers/Zod. And then we are going to have to actually create some schemas to pass into this Zod resolver. So what we can do is I'm going to collapse all of these folders, open a new folder, call it schemas. And then inside of the schemas, we're just going to create index.txt file. Inside the index.ts file, we are going to create a register schema. So we're going to click import all. So it's the asterisk as Z from Zod. So we're going to click export const. We're going to create a register schema This is going to equal a z.object. We're going to have an email. So we need to think of the things that they want the user to do to sign up to our SaaS. So we want them to sign up with an email. We want them to sign in with a name or username, a password, and then we have a confirmed password as well. So we for sure want an email from them. This is going to be z.string.email. We also want either a name or username. I'm just going to say name. Z.string. And then we're going to put a minimum on it. The minimum has to be 1 character. And if it's not 1 character, we're going to have a message saying name is required. Okay. Do I do mentoring at all? No, I just help people with code for free. I don't really do mentoring. I'm not really fucking amazing at like, I'll say Next or React. I think I know a good amount, but I don't think I'm ready to mentor people. Like on a professional level. Especially after doing this first live, like doing lives and teaching people in person is way different than uploading a video and recording and teaching them already on an uploaded video. Because when I record a video, if I mess up, I just restart or I restart the part. Like in a live, if you mess up, you just got to keep going. So teaching people in person one-on-one, especially when it could be like an array of questions, I feel like it'll be pretty hard. So I definitely want to get my skill set higher before I even consider that. But I think the best thing overall is just creating a SaaS. Like actually creating a SaaS that's successful and that actually makes you money. Which that's the hard part, but that'd be pretty cool if it does. We're gonna have a password. We're gonna make it a string with a minimum of 6 characters. And then the message, if it's not, password must be at least 6 characters long. And then this, which data.password does not exist on type string. I know this method on the true, fair enough. Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people try to sell courses. I mean, they'll sell a course on anything. Like you could do anything, and it doesn't even have to be coding. Like they could just be like, oh, for example, how to flip a couch, which is like one of the things I do to make money on the side. And they'd be like, this is how you flip a couch. You join my course on my Discord for $50 a month. It's like, dude, I don't have to pay you $50 a month to teach me how to flip a couch. It's not that hard to flip a couch. It's just like, I don't know, just people are like out here, like it's just every industry. I feel like it's such a scam when people try to like sell you stuff. Some of them are legit though, but I don't know. You could definitely learn everything. You just got to put the time in. Can you create a pass as well? I don't know what that is. It is still useful to have a username because I was thinking that for some people it's annoying to greet trying to come up with a username, but having just user email is a bit better, but will it? Depends on the project itself. Yeah. I just think adding a name. Yeah. I mean, it probably just depends on the project. But I think there is a method at the end of this Zod, which I'll have to look at later. But I do kind of want to finish up this register portion. And then after I finish the register portion, I'm probably going to end this live. I've been live for like 2.5 hours now, I think, give or take. Yeah, 2 hours and 35 minutes, which is pretty good, I feel like. But let's finish this register page, and then I'll call it for tonight. But if you guys still have any questions, keep asking. So we did finish the register schema. Make sure you're exporting it as well. Oh, platform as a service, just like a SaaS? No, I haven't. Can you create a pass as well? Um, Give me some examples of a pass. What would it be like? Would it be like a offer up, like the app offer up, like a marketplace? I'm assuming that's what you mean. We're going to import the register schema and then pass it inside of the Zald resolver. Okay. After we do that, we are going to define the default values, and these default values are going to be the values that are in our inputs. So we're going to have an email with a default value of empty string. We are going to have a name with an empty string. And we're also going to have the password as an empty string. And we don't have to do confirm password. I'm just going to leave it for now. And then other than that, that is it for the use form. So we are going to import the form control, the form field, the form item, the form label, and the form message from that components/UI folder. So I'm going to import them like this. I just copy it and paste them over. Vercel is a pass. Oh, true. I'm going to head off for early dinner. Much love from Korea, my guy. Thanks for the live. Looking forward to the next one. Hey, appreciate it, Blanket. I'm assuming Jack, right? Very, very, very much appreciate you guys joining the live. If you have to leave, no problem, but you guys will definitely be seeing more from me. And hey, have a good dinner, all right? Okay. Now we are going to, we have the form. So we got to wrap everything in the form. So the big form like this. And then right below it, we're going to have the regular HTML syntax form. And then we have to do a spread syntax of everything in the form. I think it might be a capital actually. Or no, it's not. I'm missing one period. Like that. Okay. So we have the form. And on the form, I just want to have a class name of space-y-6. That gives us a little bit of room in between the inputs. We're using Tailwind for there. And then another thing I want to do is I want to add a div. I'm going to add a div right below that. And then we're going to do another space-y-4. And then what we're going to have here is we're going to have a form field. And this form field is actually a self-closing element. Okay, so inside the form field, let me see. Let me just go to their docs. We will go to form. And this is the anatomy of the form inside of Chatcn. So we have the form, and then I have the HTML form as well. And then we're passing through all the syntax. I know it's in here as one of the anatomies. Let me see. Okay, so here it is right here. So we have the form, and they're actually passing all the form to the actual form. So let me do that. Like that. Okay. So I made a mistake on that, but we have the form, we have it on submit, and the class name is space YX. And the reason why I have this div here is because I want to have a space Y of 4 between each form field. So if you want to know what the Tailwind CSS like styling is, you just hover over it and it'll tell you. So space Y4. So that means the margin top and the margin bottom is going to be 16 pixels. So it's giving you 16 pixels on the top and 16 on the bottom. So for the form field, we want to have this control. This is going to allow us to control this field. And it's form.control. We are also going to have the name, and this name, the first one, is going to be either email, name, or password. And the reason why it's showing that is because of the default values we use here inside of this form, email, name, or password. So the first one we could do is we could do email. Email is the most important. It says property render is missing in the type. So we start to do the render. So render, which is here, it's going to equal the field, and it becomes an arrow function. And then we have to render the form item. I hope you guys could see this. Let me see. I'm going to make it bigger. So we're doing the form item. And then we have a form label. This form label, we can name it email. I want to see what we're doing too while we code it. Let me open up localhost 3000 /auth/ register. Label is not defined. Okay. So that we could go back to the auth header and actually fix this issue. So we passed that. This is the header props. The card wrapper. Oh, we got to pass those as well. Label equals header label. What's the difference between form and form field? Give me 1 second. Let me just finish this auth header to fix this. And then I gotta pass, what else? Label, property title. Title equals title. Okay, now everything's rendering nice. So the difference between form and form field. Let me go back to it real quick. Okay, I think the form, let me see what the docs say, but I think, are you talking about the difference between the uppercase form and lowercase form, or are you talking about like form, are you mean form field? Because I think the form field is just the wrapper, which is a self-closing tag that just pretty much embeds all of the properties that ShadCN uses. So like, I guess we could go over these docs real quick. Forms are tricky. They are the most common things you'll build in a web application, but also one of the most complex. Well-designed HTML forms are well-structured and semantically correct, easy to use and navigate, accessible with the form component. So the form right here, so the form component is a wrapper around the React hooked form library. It provides a few things. So the form component is a wrapper. So this is the wrapper, the uppercase form. It's composable components for building forms, a form field component for building controlled form fields. So this allows us to actually pretty much get state with inside the form field. Because if we finish this form how we should, we are going to have the input, which actually I need to install. Let me do that real quick. So to get the input, installation, CLI, input, install it, add it. When you add it, you're going to see the input pop up here. Input's right there, nice. And all you have to do is import input at the top. Copy. The card wrapper, no, it's not the card wrapper. We're at the register form. And then import it there. Okay. So handles accessibility and error messages, uses react.useID for generating unique IDs, applies the correct area attributes to form fields based on states, built to work with all Radix UI components, build your own schema library. We use Zode, but you can use anything you want. You have full control over the markup and styling. So I guess that's the anatomy that they show. There's an example. And then here's like the installation, create a form schema, which is what we did. Let me see this. So we created this form schema. We just called it form. Oh no, my fault. We didn't create. We created a register schema inside of a schema pretty much file here called register schema. And define the shape of your form using a Zod schema. You can read more about Zod using the Zod documentation. Then you use the use form hook from react-hook-form to create the hook or the form. So we have the use form hook here. After that, we make sure we declare the form variable, and that is going to equal the use form. And then we use the z.infer type of, and then ours will be register schema. Like that. We have to import Z from Zod at the top. Okay, so that works. And then we have the on submit, which we will define a submit handler in a little bit. And since the form field is using a controlled component, you need to provide a default value for the field. See the React Hook form docs to learn more about controlled components. I just want to see. Object provided by invoking use form, optional when using. So I have to look through those docs too. I'm just going to star this. Okay. All right, so let's finish this form field first. Okay, so after the form label, we need the form control. So this is the field, I guess, where we could enter input, which we're using the input component from ShadCN. We do have to spread it through the whole field with the spread syntax. We can have a placeholder as well, which we can just put as johndoe@email.com. And then make this a self-closing tag, the input. And then after that, we should have the, what else did the form message. So the form message is just a self-closing tag like that. So as you can see here, and then you can have a form description as well. But as you can see, ours is right there. It's working pretty good. We didn't style anything, so obviously it's the full width. I kind of want to see what the form description does. So under the form control, we have a form description. Let's see if it's worth using. We'll never share your email. That's what Copilot recommended. So let's see. Yeah, it's not horrible. I'm probably going to remove it though. So you can put a form description, guys, if you want. But that is it for that form field. Now I'm just going to literally copy this and then paste it down 3 more times. So 1, 2, 3. Now we get 4 fields. Bang. And the reason why it's not styled is because we don't have the card wrapper styled yet. But let's just fix all of these labels and inputs. So we have the email. Next field, we want the name. The placeholder, we could put John Doe. Name. This has got to be name. Next one's going to be password. Let's do some stars for the placeholder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do the label as password. So there's the labels changing. This one we're going to do confirm password. And then we're just going to make sure they type in the same thing. Because like I feel like, especially when people are typing in passwords, like they definitely should be able to confirm it. Because sometimes I'd be typing in the wrong password on the first try. So I feel like that's very important for the UX, pretty much design when doing a form. Okay. So we have that, the confirm password, placeholders. This name is going to be confirm password. Let me camel case it. Wait, type confirm password is not assignable to name, email, password, or password confirmation. So I got to reset this because I think I named it something else. Password confirmation. Where did I name it? Password confirmation. Was it in the register schema? Yep. Password confirmation. That's why it's got to equal that. So it's got to equal those names in the register schema. Okay. All right. So next step is right above the form and outside of this div, because this div is just spacing this, and then we have a space between this div of 6y or y6. Oh, we're not using a regular button. Let's use Chatcn. So button. I already we got the package, but we need to get it at the top. So we have a button. And then I need the button to be kind of dynamic. So when it's loading, I want to show that it's loading. So we need a loading state. And if it's loading, we're going to say loading. If not, we'll have it register. I always like putting on buttons type submit. And then class name will do width full. Okay. So let's create this state real quick because this is a use client component. Let's import use state from React. Let's create the loading and set loading. Set it to false initially. And then we are good to go. We can set loading true on the onSubmit. So let's go back to the top where we have this form. in this HTML form, we need an on submit. So the on submit is going to have a form dot handle submit. And then we got to pass in the function, which we could put on submit. So we have to create an on submit function. Yeah, like that. I kind of like the class names at the end. There we go. Okay, so now let's create an on submit function above, right here. Which it is, that's Copilot's right on that. Okay, so we are going to pass, you can name it whatever you want, data, values, inputs, whatever you want, and they're going to equal the register schema because that is the type that is valid for each input email that we have down here. So email, name, password, and confirm password, they must pretty much get checked before getting submitted to whatever API or backend that you want. And we do that by making sure it matches up with the register schema. So we can do that here. And what we could do is we could console log the data. Let me do that real quick. We're going to console log the data. This is use client. And just make sure everything's working. Let's inspect console. Brett. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. So we got email, name, password, password confirmation, and the object. So everything's working. The only thing I don't like is it's not showing password because we don't have the type as password in these inputs. A type password. Wait, is it not letting me do it? Type control. Oh, because I'm not doing it in the input field. That's why. It's got to be in the input field, of course. I don't know why I was thinking everything was there. Type password. Type password. And then for email, I'm going to do type email as well. It's just another check. So if they don't do an email and you have type email, it won't submit. Okay, so the other thing too is it's kind of like the whole page. And what we have here is inside this form, we have it wrapped by a card wrapper. So let's go to the card wrapper component and let's actually style the card with some tailwind. So what I already have, class name equals. So on extra large devices, I have a width of 1/4. I might have to change some of this. On mid-size and up, we have a width of 1/2. Let me see. Yeah, it's changing. I don't know if I like it, but we'll see. I had a shadow too. Shadow of MD. So it gives like a shadow effect. Hey, is there any way to get business email for free when you have a domain name? Like resend, we can do it, but we don't have an inbox. There is no way for you to get a business email for free. I don't think so. Even with the domain. But if you want to do it the resend, it's actually, you don't need a business email. Like, so I actually have a resend account and it's, mine's, a premium account. So if we look at, resend, if you go to emails, where is here, docs, let me show you real quick. And we go to Next.js quick start. So when you put this from email, as long as the domain is pretty much the domain name. So like say if your domain's voicefusion.io, so you could have whatever you want here at the front, onboarding at voicefusion.io, even if you don't have that email. So as long as you have the domain at the end, like at voicefusion.io, you don't have to have the email. It could be whatever you want. So you don't need a business email technically. And you're gonna be like, well, how can I see where the emails were sent? Like I'm not gonna have an inbox to see. Well, you could just email them through a personal email, which is still fine. I mean, even though it's gonna be sent from a different email. But if you want to see how your email was sent, you just go to your dashboard like this, and you could like view your emails. So like you just click emails, and then you could view what was sent and like who it was sent to. So like from onboarding at voicefusion.io, I don't have that email. I never paid for that email. It's still sent and delivered. But as long as you have this, it's like an alias. So you can have an alias, but as long as you have a domain. And then you make sure you obviously verify your domain inside the domains tab, because if you don't, then you can't do it. So those are my 2 domains I did. And if you have a free account, you only can verify 1 domain. So be careful for whatever domain you want to do. But hopefully that answers your question. And it's pretty good. Like I pay $20 a month and 50,000 monthly limit, and then the free account's like 5 or 10,000. So it's really good. Next thing too is, let's look at this card. So this card's like to the left. So I kind of want to fix that. I want to make it centered. I might have to go into the layout to do that. App. Or I could create. Okay, I know what I could do. So since I want everything to be centered here, inside of this alt folder, I could create a layout. Yeah, so I could create a layout inside this auth folder, and everything that's inside of the auth folder, the layout would actually apply to all of the files. So I could do a new file. Oh, that's in the components. I'm in the wrong folder. Let me go to the app. So the app auth, and then create a layout inside of there. My fault, guys. Layout.tsx. Am I doing something wrong? The default export is not a React component in page auth/register. Huh. Let me see. I think I should be able to still create it. So let me try layout.tsx. And then it gives me the default export is not a React component in auth/register. I think it's talking about the wrong file. Let me see. And then what we could have here is we could have RAFCE. This is going to be the auth layout. It is going to take in some children, and these children are going to be children react node. Oh, it's working out. There we go. That's because, okay, so I have the children, and then this needs to accept all the children. Because now this layout file, I can actually just center everything. There we go. Cool. Wouldn't the layout be in the auth folder? I have it in the auth folder. That's why I was confused, because I thought I had it in the register, but I didn't put it in the register. It's actually in the layout. It's actually in the auth folder. So I have the auth and then the layout. So it says up here to app auth layout, auth layout. So I guess I was just throwing an error until I actually wrote code and actually passed in the children. But yeah, I wouldn't have it in the register unless I just wanted it for this specific route. But now what I could do here is I'm actually going to create this as a section. We're going to do this with full. And that should be good for now. We could like style it better later. But for now, I'm gonna the section, and then we could have a div, and I'm just gonna surround the children, and then it's gonna give me room to work with like images and stuff I want to work with later. But we're gonna have to create assets and stuff for this. What is the best way to create routes organizations? Like in previous video, you use site, and inside of that, you put all the routes. Yeah, so if you use like parentheses, it doesn't count as a route. Wouldn't you want the auth folder so that the login and register have the same layout unless you want them both different? Yeah, let me first answer your question. What's the best way to create routes organization? Yeah, I probably should have done it. Let me do that actually. So what I can do is you can actually create this auth and wrap it in parentheses if you want, and then still have a layout file there. But yeah, if you do parentheses, it just like organizes your routes better without actually affecting your URL. And then obviously if you use brackets, it's usually like a catch-all route. But other than that, yeah, you could use folders, and then like for locals question, when do you want it in the auth folder so that login and register have the same layout, unless you want them both different. I technically do have the layout in the auth folder. So the login and register are going to both be applied with this layout.tsx file. So technically the children are this page and this page. That's what the children are. And then I'm just styling it here, and this should change this style here. So like I'm going to have I'm going to have a height of screen. I'm going to put flex, item center, justify center. See, now it's moving like my register page. Perfect. And then I think that's it. Like that should stay center. Yeah, that works. And then it should work for the login route too. And then we could use the card wrapper for the login route as well. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Let me just finish the on submit, and then I'm probably gonna call it for the night. And obviously, I'll come back and work on it again tomorrow. And then we can finish up the auth and database as well. Now I'll make sure everything's a little more organized as well because I'm getting a feel for the live. So I'll try to make it more valuable for the next live as well. How do I monitor my sites for traffic? I just use Google Search Console and Google Analytics. I mean, there's a lot of tools out there that are paid tools, but I don't use anything crazy. And Google Analytics and Google Search Console are free. So like yeah, I'm gonna go live tomorrow. Maybe not for as long because tomorrow for me is Friday, but I'm gonna go live and I'm at least gonna finish up the authentication because we're almost done with it. And I'm gonna go over the authentication. I'll probably create some videos as well to go on the channel that are a lot more concise and not like a lot of fluff. But let me create the on submit real quick. Let me go back to the register. Let me go back to the register. Where the hell is it? Like, I don't even know where the register is. That's how fried my brain is right now. Components, register form. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so we console log the data. It works. So we can do the set loading to true, and let's see if that works. It's not because it's okay. So we're getting the good thing with Zod and the forms from ChatCN. It just look at this. It doesn't even let me submit it. It just gives me errors. Invalid email. Name is required. Password must be at least 6 characters long. Required. Like, it's nice. But we're gonna do the password and confirm password check on the back end and to make sure everything is working good. So we have that, and then we could just console log this. Have the console log of data. And then I just want to make sure everything's good. And then I'm going to work on the backend part starting tomorrow. Okay, so register, and it should go to loading. Loading, and it's just going to stay loading because we don't set loading to false. And if we inspect the page, we have an object with the email, name, and password confirmation. Okay, so just to go over what we did today, just for a quick overview. What am I using for the backend? I'm just going to use Next.js as either I'm going to use a server action, probably server actions in a separate file, or you could use API route with Next.js. So I'm just going to use Next.js as full framework. Do you want to change color to black for label when error occurs rather than red? Let me see. Do you want to change the color to black for label? Let me see. I'm gonna test it out. Oh, you're talking about like this label right here, like email, name, password, confirm password. Do you want to change color to black for label and error occurs rather than red? I mean, yeah, I think that would be better. I don't form label. Do you know how to do that? Because I think by default it's doing that for me based on Zod. I'm just closing up a few things here. Do you know how to keep that label black instead of red? Yeah, it might be in there. You're right. Let me see. Form label. Here we go. Errors should just be text destructive. I'm just gonna put text black, and let's try that. There we go. It works. Yeah, it looks a lot better. If there's an error, just put the text black. Yeah, you've made some good points too. Is it, hopefully I'm saying it right. I don't want to butcher your name. Harsh. Oh man, I don't even want to. Harshit. Is that how you say it? Harshit? Harshit, loco, blanket, tub. Correct. Cool. Okay, cool. Make sure you join the Discord. I think I sent the link in here a few times. So make sure you join it. But other than that, I am going to call it for the night. I will be live again tomorrow for at least an hour, finishing up all this. But I would definitely like if you could join again. That'd be awesome. Definitely a good conversation. And if you have any projects, anything you want me to help you with, or anything we could just bounce ideas off of, just let me know, man. Yeah, no problem, man. Good night. All right, I'll talk to you soon. All right, thanks everybody for joining the stream. Um, oh, local, you're still in here too? It showed I only had one viewer. Oh, three now. Never mind. Loco, if anything, yeah, just hit me up as well. I'll be on tomorrow. Make sure you guys join the Discords. I could respond way quicker in there. But I'm gonna set up another notification. Make sure I go live tomorrow. We'll finish the authentication. We'll finish, and we'll probably start working on the navigation bar. You helped me create. Oh, were you following along while I was coding it? You created the auth pages as well. Did you follow along creating auth pages with me, or did you create your own separate? Okay, yeah, you could do that. I'm gonna do that tomorrow though. So if you don't figure it out, just join my live tomorrow, okay? I'll be going live probably like 11 p.m. Eastern, 12 midnight. So if you don't figure that out, that's exactly what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm gonna be using the Next.js full stack framework though, so I'm gonna be using their backend. But yeah, everybody who joined, appreciate you guys joining the live. Um, and see you guys in the next one.